sister and brother. There is love in this family. Pick yourself up and get on your feet. Don't stop me now, Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Makena styling, up country styling, Campo styling, Kahanapali styling, Hana styling, Wai'ehu styling, Maia styling, Keanai styling, Maui styling, don't let me down. 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 Maui styling, don't stop me now. Maui styling.
With the airplane here, we are at the end of the airport here in Kahului, next to the control tower, and this is where the disaster medical assistance team has its bunker where we store all the supplies. Basically, we store a full hospital in terms of tents and other equipment. We store a field mortuary unit. Generators. We have a very neat device, which I'll show you in a few minutes. It can turn virtually any liquid into pure crystal clear drinking water.
Wow.
And then we have pumps and bladders to hold the water, and we supply hot and cold water to the operating theaters and other units that are part of the team. So.
And I guess this started some years ago here, yeah?
The seeds were planted about 8 years ago after the incident with the Aloha airliner that had a structural problem and lost part of its roof, and people started to feel that there was a need to have a real response team based in Hawaii. And right now this team, Disaster Medical Assistance Team Hawaii-1, is the one of the 5 most capable teams in the entire country.
Wow.
We're the first response team anywhere in the Pacific, and several months out of the year we're the first response team virtually anywhere in the United States. This team is ready to go on hours' notice. All our equipment is set up in pallets and containers ready to be loaded onto an aircraft and flown to any place there's a disaster with very little notice. The pharmaceuticals that the team would require are kept for us in a rotating stock at different points on the island, ready to be picked up, and most of the rest of the equipment is right here ready to go at a moment's notice. We have our power systems. We have water system that can purify water and supply it in hot and cold drinking water. We have refrigeration and just about everything that the medical staff will need, or if worse comes to worse, the mortician staff will need to do their jobs.
Well, this is work that has to be done. I don't know how many of us would be able to stand this kind of work. It's pretty intense. Thank you for all the time and effort you put in with this, Jonathan.
Well, I'm just one member of a very large and devoted team, and my job is communications. I'm definitely in a secondary role, but we'll get to meet some of the people who created it, and some of the surgeons and other really skilled medical people who have brought this about. And it's a wonderful facility. We're very lucky to have this on Maui, and I know I feel really proud to participate and help support it. It's a great thing to have, and there have been a number of times when this team has gone out and saved lives and done a great job. Always come back with a lot of praise and quite a few awards.
Yeah. So what is that we're looking at there?
Well, that's a mortuary unit, and the mortuary part of the DMAT team is one of the most important parts. A lot of the incidents we get called on have had a lot of people meet their demise, and they have to be taken care of properly. And this is actually one of the few transportable field mortuaries that are available in the country, and the only one in the Pacific.
Wow.
So in fact, this one traveled to Guam last year and took care of most of the victims of that terrible plane crash in Guam with members of the team from here from Maui.
Is this based here, this piece?
Yeah,
Wow.
this is all based here in Kahului Airport.
Wow.
We're very lucky to have it.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have it. God forbid we have a problem here, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's the mortuary side of it is important to prevent more people from getting sick, and it's very important that the remains be treated with respect
Right.
when people die. But our greatest capability is in a life-saving area. We're able to go and deal with hundreds of victims and save lives. And you'll meet some of the surgeons and doctors and support people as we go around through the team and see our equipment as well.
Thank you for inviting us out here. We're happy to be showing this to the people of Maui.
Yeah.
Has this unit been here for a long time?
Well, it's been growing steadily. The seeds were planted about 8 years ago, after there was an incident when I believe it was an Aloha airliner.
Oh, the flight that had its roof partially ripped
Yeah,
off.
people started to think, what's going to happen if on Maui or anywhere in Hawaii there's an incident occurring with large numbers of people hurt or killed, and that we just did not have any response at that time. So the planning was put in action to have the disaster medical assistance team put in place.
Well, let's go meet some of the team.
Yeah, and let's go see some of the equipment we have. This is Jason Kohama. He's the head of our communications unit. Jason, tell us what this machine does. Show us how it works. This is a neat piece of gadgetry.
Okay, well, this is a water purification unit, and it has dual filters in it. It also has an ultraviolet filter. We've played with it once before, and we tried it out. We took a really big cooler, filled it up with water, and dumped coffee grounds in it. Made it look really nasty, and
Wow.
pumped it through, and when it came out the other side, it really tasted like bottled water. In fact, there was no coloration or even the slight flavor of the coffee. It works real good.
That's pretty amazing.
It'll also run on multiple power supplies. Got 240 volts, 120 volts, and 12 volts right here. And the nice part about it is when it's on 12 volts, it charges off of these solar panels. So we'd have always, a lot of battery power left on it.
We turn it on, Jason? Go water on? Which one? This one?
Yeah.
They're turning it on.
Tastes good.
Hey. Can you turn wine into water? I know it's a little different than water into wine.
Not yet, but we're working on it.
Want me to introduce him, or you want to introduce him?
Oh, you can do it.
Come on down, Bert, for a minute. This is Jason and Ariel. Yeah. This is Bert Phelan. He's top mortician on Maui, and he can tell you about this operation. This is something I don't know too much about, but I'm sure glad we got it. Tell us what we got.
Well, ordinarily this trailer supplies all the equipment that goes in a tent, which we can't put up on the cement platform here. So this display is without the normal two-tent mortuary. This side of the trailer carries all the equipment and instruments for autopsy. The other side carries all the equipment for embalming, including the machines and the operating tables, which are in the far end. And on this end, the trailer has its own water supply, water heaters, and hazmat shower. It's all self-contained to provide all the equipment to operate the mortuary, including its own sink and hot water, and all the floodlights needed for the operation, self-contained.
When you're out there in the field, you do embalming rather than cremation on the spot?
It depends on your location. If it's more convenient to have some of the preliminary work for identification done at the scene, then it prevents you from having to take the bodies too far away from the scene, and you're able to do some of the identification work, which is important more so than the plane crash itself, is to be able to reunite the loved ones with their family.
Yeah. Has this unit been getting a lot of activity or not much here recently?
Well, thankfully, it's not needed all the time, but in the future, if we have need for it, we are prepared to supplement what we have on the ground now.
I see.
The trailer is not meant to do away with all the local mortuaries, but you have to remember that the local mortuaries have just about the equipment and supplies they need to take care of their expected clientele. 50 or 60 cases for the 3 mortuaries on Maui at one time, in addition to what they have normally, would be stretching things as far as supplies and equipment goes. So this mortuary would supplement what we have in the established facilities now.
I see. Thank you. We really appreciate all your work at this. This is not work for everyone. We really appreciate you standing and doing us the honor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
It's really a difficult job that you do.
Thank you.
You know, thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha. We're so lucky to have people like this on Maui that support all that we need to keep this beautiful island healthy, and to have this readily available is a pretty amazing thing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Aloha.
And we're set up so that we have not only cold but hot running water as well, and that's they'd be very essential if we're in an area that's contaminated, or well, just to be able to carry on work and need the showers.
Okay.
Had this tent is our communications tent over here. That's actually the part of the team that I'm involved with, and we can come inside and show you some of our radio equipment. And here he is. This is Dr. John.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Jonathan. Hi, John.
Good, buddy.
Here. Do you know Jason and Ariel?
I believe I've met these people before.
Aloha. Dr. John?
That's correct, John Mills.
Dr. John. Dr.
Hi,
John
Jason.
Mills.
Hi.
He's our top emergency room physician here. He's the one who knows how to put people back together again when...
This is our little communications tent. Nice size,
Thank
Jonathan.
you for doing that. Really, that's pretty incredible.
Come on in with us, John. In an incident, this will be our communications center, and also a lot of the team control would happen from here. This is a satellite telephone unit that we have, and we're able to call any place on Earth through the satellites, and I could actually catch a tan by standing where Dr. John is, but when we turn it on, you aim it by turning it back and forth until the maximum number of lights light up, and then you adjust the elevation until you have maximum signal. And then,
It'll go right through the tent, huh?
yeah, it'll work through the tent. Then you just pick up the handset and put in our code and call away, and can talk anywhere on Earth through the satellite. So this will be very useful if Maui or any other place we get called to loses its primary communication. We'll still be able to talk and get information in and out, and let people know what kind of emergency supplies we need. And this will be probably our primary communications link in and out of the island. Though we do have radio equipment that can communicate over across continents. The primary role for our communications team is to keep communications within the team working. So the team will probably be deployed at an air base or at a hospital, and the different stations will have communicators with radios who can tell how many people need what kind of care and what kind of bandages or other equipment need to be moved around, and all that will happen from here. And then they can also communicate our needs outside the team, whether to headquarters in Maryland, where the Federal Emergency Management Agency has the basic control of all the disaster teams, or to a different place on this island. Whatever we need to communicate, we can do it from here. Yeah, September is often our big month for some reason. First of all, I know we're on primary call, but things seem to happen in September, so that's part of the reason why we're here in August, setting all the gear out and testing everything and trying to figure out what we need to do. And it's really in good shape. I'm amazed how well stocked the team is right now. Last September, Jason was called off to Guam, so we might be able to get him to say a little bit about what he went through last summer over there.
Do you have a large crew that goes?
Well, I was actually activated as part of the national team, and I was sent over with the management support unit with the guys in Rockville, Maryland, and I handled communications for the Korean Airlines Flight 801 crash in Guam.
Was it a large crew of people to handle such a thing?
Basically, we had from the NDMS and the DMAT units and the disaster mortuary units, we had 130 members.
I imagined 130 members that were there means you do a lot of training. Do you have a training of many people? Who wants to answer that one?
I think that in a situation like that, most of the people who are actually doing the mortician work are professional morticians who do that every day of the week, like Bert over there. He doesn't need training. That's what he does. Most of the doctors that are on the teams, that's what they're doing. The emergency medical technicians, they're professionals. So most of the units really do not need to train. The logistics people and communications people, well, we don't necessarily set up tents full-time or operate radios full-time, so we need training sessions. But most of these guys are professionals and probably the best in the world at their jobs.
So you guys are doing it all the time, and so you come out to this, so you're pulling double duty all the time, huh?
Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I don't do it all the time. I am a ham radio operator, so I do it as a hobby. I'm actually in the automotive industry. So it's a hobby turned into a job, makes it real interesting. And I don't think there's anybody, a volunteer or professional that's ready for anything like, airlines crash with over 200 casualties.
I understand. Aloha.
Aloha.
What is your name and what do you do?
Okay, I'm Cameron Keys and I work for Cutter as an auto mechanic.
And what finds you out here with this team?
Basically, I haven't heard final word yet, but I'm joining the group in the logistics area.
Logistics means moving of equipment and things like that?
Yeah, moving equipment and helping out wherever you can. I'll be attached to the communications department.
I see. What moved you to do this? This is very intense work.
Well, I was approached by Jason, but years ago when I was still in high school, actually, I was working in ambulance back then. And I've always enjoyed that kind of work anyway. It seems like very interesting stuff.
Yes, and we thank you very much. I know I'm very challenged. In fact, I don't care if it wins an Academy Award. I'm not ready for Saving Private Ryan. Sorry, Stephen.
Just keep your head down.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Aloha. Let's go move and check out another section.
Yeah, let's go to the next tent.
Okay.
And, see what that has to offer.
Okay.
This is a display that we just set up to show the contents of these packs, that we call them jump bags, that people would go into action with. These are all kind of personal gear for maintaining oneself in the field.
I see.
And John will be back in a couple of minutes with some medical kits to show us what kind of equipment the docs would use if they're operating in the field.
Okay.
At any rate, we've put together a group of kits that we call jump kits. And this is one of our jump kits. Some of the jump kits are packaged in this type of rucksack over here, but it's basically medical supplies for individuals, be it nurses, doctors, or paramedics, to supply them in the field to take care of between 2 and 4 patients in a disaster situation, be it a airline accident, hurricane, being the first medical personnel on the scene, what have you. And so what we've done is we've tried to make it the medical supplies sort of self-contained for the individual who's supplying the medical care in the field. So what we would do is we would give these people these packs, and each pack, when they opened it up, they would be able to have access to these supplies. And initially what we would do is we'd be concerned about the ABCs of the emergency response, and the first priority would be the airway of the patient. So we would hit, in this particular pack, we have an airway kit, which is this yellow kit here, and we would be able to maintain people's airway, either be it a oral airway, which is one of these devices, or something more sophisticated, which could be, endotracheal intubation. Say, for instance, if there was a bad burn patient who was having a compromised airway, then we may come up to that patient, evaluate them, see that their airway was about to be compromised, and then establish an airway with an endotracheal tube, and then that patient would be somewhat stable until transport. If a patient could be stabilized just by putting a position of his neck or position of his jaw, or even just an oral airway, that would be satisfactory. Now, the next part would be the breathing portion of the ABCs, and that's basically as a patient breathing. Now, we feel that in certain scenarios, if it's a mass casualty situation and a person's airway is open and they're not breathing well, that's a pretty good neurological examination. The patient's not going to do very well. So we do have a whole other airway kits that are used to supply supplemental oxygen to mass patients who, say, if there was a smoke inhalation scenario, that we could supply in a given area supplemental oxygen to multiple patients. In this particular kit, we have ambu bags that we could breathe for patients temporarily, just to get them going. But again, if a patient's not breathing and they have a patent airway, we're not going to sit there and spend a whole lot of time on that particular patient. We can also give them oxygen through supplemental mask, and we have the cylinders with like I say, multiple ports that we have set up. But that's kind of a secondary response. But in the primary response too, we would be able to give them shelter, be able to give them from the elements, and we have space blankets and emergency blankets that we can apply to the patients to kind of semi-remove them from the elements. And we also have the third part of the ABC response would be the circulation. And in these kits we have ability to start IVs, and also this is our IV start kits, IV tubing, and we have, when we would go on an alert, we would pack the same bag with some IV fluids. But we keep those all packed away because they'll just go bad in here, and we can rotate our supplies much easier through a more centralized area. And all of our IV fluids are in boxes over in the main bunker. So we could supply fluids, we could establish IV access to patients and potentially give them fluids and drugs if necessary. Also, in addition to the ABC response, we could also stabilize their neck through cervical collars. We can, if they have fractures or contusions, we have these ice packs that we can supply some sort of a degree of comfort to patients. And also we have splinting material and bandaging the material to splint any obvious fractures and to stem any active hemorrhage that may be going on at the time. So with that basic, just kind of a basic approach, we can, and with this particular kit, we could take care of between 2 and 4 patients. Now we have these modular kits set up, and we have maybe, I think now we're up to maybe 20 kits. So if there was 20 people available, they would each have a kit, or we could draw on other kits if necessary. But that's basically one person comes in. If his patients are spread out, that we would be able to give these people these jump kits, we're calling them, and they could go into the field and start the initial resuscitation of the injured patients. And that was basically our thoughts, our initial thoughts when we first thought of this whole concept of rapid deployment team or disaster management assistance teams. What else you see around you is sort of grown from that, and we have additional supplies for hospital-based, for basically a health clinic that we could set up, and we have clinical supplies that we could use to basically supply a hospital. And it's sort of, it grows from this this initial response where then the patients, what are we going to do with the patients? And then we would bring them to a central triage facility where we could reassess the patient, give them additional medical treatment as necessary. We have the ability to suture lacerations, simple lacerations. We have the ability to perform a little bit more complicated techniques on the chest to relieve any airway obstructions or difficulty with the respirations. We have a whole group of kits that are designed just basically for burn patients. So we have other modular kits. We have an airway kit for people who have problems with airways. We have fracture kits that we keep all of our fracture or orthopedic type supplies. In this particular kit we have burn kits, and these again are somewhat modular packing, where we have in here blankets, bandaging material, eye care material, space blankets to take care of, and also sterile gloves but basically all the materials one might need to take care of a burn patient or severely burned patient in the field. And again, these are packed, and I think there's maybe 20 ability to take care of 20 severely burned patients in.
Tell me, I'm seeing this and I'm thinking to myself, you know, sometimes people keep emergency medical kits at home or in the car. I know this is way overkill, but do you recommend a certain pack to be kind of kept by people in general?
Well, sure. I think that would be a good idea for individuals, whatever they feel comfortable of taking care of. I think there's a certain amount of bandaging and first aid supplies that would be needed. This is sort of grown out of the back of our cars too. We carry, as emergency physicians and emergency personnel, we've carried a lot of supplies similar to this, and it's sort of our own emergency first aid kits that we feel that we could use as medical personnel at a scene.
I imagine you have earplugs for this airport besides.
I think there are earplugs in here somewhere.
Yeah, you know, there's hearing protectors in those jump bags. I have a question for you, Dr. John. You'd probably be on-scene commander in a mass casualty situation. If we were in that situation here with a lot of people injured and burned and so on, what would we be seeing in here and out in the triage area? What would it look like, and what would people be doing?
Well, I think that what we would be seeing in here, basically what we'd be having is a triage situation where we would have a central command set up where there was be an incident command network of personnel to to evaluate patients and then to transport them to the proper areas for further medical treatment or transport to other facilities. And basically what you would see would be a triage officer, and there would be a triage or incident command officer who would be in charge. And then he would be directing patients to a triage area. Now the triage area would be very well marked, and as patients came into our area, they would be triaged and then sent off to one of 3 or maybe even actually one of 4 areas. And the areas would be marked according to color coding, like the red area would be the immediate treatment area. And those would be the patients who were very seriously ill, patients who had problems with their airways, patients who had problems with their circulation, who have not receiving immediate treatment could possibly die. The next area that if a person was deemed to be a serious medical emergency, but not something that required immediate treatment, they would be sent to an area which probably would be color-colored yellow, and that would be the serious medical area, which maybe consist of patients who have fractures or patients who have severe lacerations that are not actively bleeding, that have been splinted, that can be delayed somewhat, but would require more sophisticated emergency or medical care. And then if a patient came under the groups of what we would call maybe the walking wounded, then they would be directed to the green area, which would be the delayed area. And those patients are patients with minor abrasions, sometimes patients with psychiatric or stress type related emergencies, patients who can basically take care of themselves with, and once they would require the assistance of maybe one of our medical personnel could maybe take care of maybe 5 or 10 of those patients at a time. And those patients would be in the green area. Now the other area would be the imminently dying, the gray area or the black area, and that would be over by the DMAT team. And those are patients who are so severely injured that there's little chance that they will live, or in fact they are deceased already. So those would be your basic areas, and perhaps in this scenario, maybe this tent may be an immediate treatment area, and this would be the high priority patients. This would be the most activity going on, the full resuscitation with fluids, oxygen, and getting patients ready for immediate transport to ancillary facilities or to more advanced facilities. Over here at the other area, over another tent, it may be the serious patients, the yellow area, and over there patients could be receiving medication to alleviate their pain for their fractures. They could be receiving fluids to help hydrate them until their burns could be taken care of, things of that nature, and a fairly high acuity area. And then another area may be just a shelter for the walking wounded. So that's basically what you would be seeing.
What was before this? I mean, this is superb. We're very happy to have it. I can't even imagine what was happening before. What were facilities and treatment like before?
Well, it's all been building up from this. Yeah. This was our old bunker out the window there. That trailer was basically our supply shed for the original team, which was the RDT team, and now it's grown into this whole larger facility. Mm-hmm. So we're happy that we're having as many volunteers as we have to help. Every time we get a new volunteer, it kind of regenerates the enthusiasm that we have for this project. So it's a group effort of everybody pitching in and everybody getting enthused about this, and we've continually repack and repack, and we're still in the process of refining this. So we're hoping we will be able to make a difference. We know that we won't be able to do a perfect job. We know there will always be something wrong with, or not wrong, but we will always be lacking something. But we're continually trying to grow and strive to improve our ability to respond in an emergency. So what we had before, we had a lot of people who were enthused about trying to get a project like this together, and now we're getting more and more people with the same thoughts together, and it's just basically a growth or extenuation of that idea and that enthusiasm to do a job.
Well, I know we, the people of Maui, appreciate you. Where will we normally see you? Only in the emergency medical area, huh?
Good chance at the golf course. Now, that's my main place. No, I'm at the emergency department. Been there for 22 years, and
Emergency golf course.
That's right. And then we have a small clinic down at the golf course, and we're out fishing on the ocean. You know, just like everybody else in Maui. You know.
This kind of work, as intense as it is, I'm sure everyone would recognize you need to rest hard too, huh?
That's correct. That's correct. At any rate, we've got a big party here. I mean, a big barbecue. We're trying to get ready, and got to get our hot water things going. So it's back to work.
Back to work.
All right.
Thank you for joining us here.
My pleasure.
Aloha. Oh, you're welcome. Well, aren't we lucky to have these guys helping and being here for us all? Yes, we're just going to tie all this together. It's nice to see how many different people and how many different parts of activity it takes to put together this kind of an effort.
Yeah, well, I mean, even as part of the team, every time I look around here today, I'm amazed. Well, now we've got refrigeration, which will certainly come in handy keeping medicines and blood parts and other stuff like that ready for use. So this minute by minute, our equipment list is growing, and I think that's neat. What Ron said, that we'll be able to load our own aircraft pretty soon. That's another ability that we'll have in-house, and that's pretty tricky. I know I'm a pilot, and when you talk about weight and balance, it all has to be calculated exactly where the center of gravity of the aircraft is and how much weight you put in different areas. So that's another interesting thing. We travel, of course, with food. We have meals ready to eat. I don't know if you've had lunch yet, Jason and Ariel, but if you want to, there's probably about 30 or 40 different varieties of meals ready to eat.
Really?
Yeah. Would you like to try some ration?
Sure.
Great. Let's go find us some ration and have lunch.
Want to have lunch with us? Come, we'll go.
Now, this is a culinary delight here, folks. We'll read through the flavors. I know they have kosher, they have different kinds of Indian, Hindu vegetarian, and all kinds of exotics, but I would guess that these are more the kind of the meat and potatoes variety here.
These are the standards.
Yeah, what do we got here?
Well, what do we got here? We have ham slices.
Ham slices.
Ham slice. And we've got meal number 4, omelet with ham. You'll love those for breakfast. Meal number 5, frankfurters. Scalloped potatoes.
Yeah, but it's good.
What do we got here? Pork with rice and barbecue sauce.
So these are what they bring out into the field if you're an infantryman?
This is what they were talking about during Desert Storm, the new MREs. But there's basically 12 different...
12 kinds, I see.
Well,
Let's see what we got. That is some knife. I remember that knife from Crocodile Dundee. I think it looked quite like that. Was?
Well, the new ones are pretty cool. This is a little heater pad. So you pull out your main course, which is our barbecue sauce. You pull out, you'll stick it in here, and you fill up the water.
Uh-huh.
I like the instructions. It says rock or something.
Rock or something. Technical. I see.
Takes about 10 minutes, and you've got a hot meal.
Wow. Wow.
Let's show the accessory pack. That's always the most fun.
This is incredible.
the other stuff that comes with it here. Let's see. Okay, here's a diet soft drink mix. Fruit punch.
What's
And,
it?
Applesauce.
Applesauce.
Okay.
You ever see applesauce look like?
Applesauce? Let's try the applesauce.
Okay.
That should be safe.
Yeah.
Prepackaged
Here,
spoon.
Where's your... Oh, we can do this without the K-bar, can we?
Yep.
Okay.
Once
There
you
we
get
go.
into the main thing. Oh, Jonathan?
Okay.
Do the honors?
Here we go. Taste test. How's it? Looks good for color. Jason?
Uh-huh.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. What's
What
that
do
one?
we have here?
Cocoa beverage powder.
Okay.
All water mixable. Grape jelly.
Grape jelly. Boy, anything can be reduced to these kind of packs.
The accessory packet. That's the one you were wanting, John.
That fancy stuff, lobster Newburgh sauce.
Yeah.
Here, check this out.
How about that?
This is,
Look at that.
what is it, like a little mini Tabasco?
Tabasco.
Those guys are everywhere, those Tabasco
isn't that
guys. Okay.
Milk caramel.
Milk caramels.
That's what I could use right now. Piece of gum.
Piece of gum. Wow.
Toilet paper. 1 day's worth, they call that.
No. Instant coffee. Salt, sugar, cream substitute. Those are matches with instructions how to do it?
Instructions, yep.
How to do it.
Military way.
Military.
They shorted us.
I don't mean to be rude. I'd rather go to Cucina Pacifica. What do you think?
Me too.
2 votes, but I guess in the field,
That would be much better.
yeah.
Applesauce is not bad. What's that? Is that a biscuit? What is that other one? That other package there?
All of them have a biscuit of sorts in it.
crackers.
Crackers.
Oh, let's put a cracker for our applesauce.
Okay.
I want to see
Wow.
if that's crispy. That's the true. If that thing's crispy, then we'll have to say these guys. Here, let's get the crunch.
Oh.
It passes.
It passes the crunch, that is.
Passes the test. Okay, we can survive on this stuff.
Looks like we'll make it. Thank you.
Okay, welcome to Gerard's World. This is Gerard Franco. He's the head of all the logistics for the DMAT team, and this is our the world headquarters for logistics for Hawaii-1. So tell us about what we got in here.
Well, basically in here we have all our medical supplies. We have our field hospital equipment and everything to resupply the field hospital. All our plumbing and electrical that we would use out in the field. And this is where we would work out of when we get called for a disaster anywhere in Hawaii or the Pacific Rim.
What are all these barrels behind us?
This is all the old civil defense their disaster equipment that we store here for them and care for. All the supplies on this side and behind us over there is all our DMAT equipment.
I see.
And most of our equipment is outside right now, what you just saw.
Do you do training like this often?
As often as we can. Logistics and communications, we don't do this for a living, so we try to train as often as we can. Unlike the medical aspect of our team, they work as doctors and nurses and paramedics every day. So the common log guys need more training than the other parts of our team. So we try to get together as often as we can.
Who funds this project?
NDMS, DMAT, HI1, and...
Do you know what that means, Jonathan? Those are good names.
Yeah, primarily it's the National Disaster Medical Service. So and that's a branch of FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency out of Washington and Maryland. Do a lot of the funding. The county gives us some of our funding. I believe there's some state level stuff and some other sources, but primarily it's federal and county. And we have, because of that federal funding, we have the responsibility to be ready. And I've been really impressed by what Gerard and his team have been doing, of taking all of the equipment and palletizing it so that can load it up in probably less than an hour. We could load up an airplane with the tents and all the medical equipment and the water. Now, the latest thing today is we have a full water infrastructure with bladders to hold 1,000 gallons of water and pumps and water heaters, so that we'll have hot and cold water in each of those tents, which will be a great help to the docks if they're operating and working. We'll have water to drink, so that if we go someplace and there's not even drinking water, which would be often the case after a tsunami or hurricane, we can not only provide pure drinking water for ourselves, but we'll be able to supply pure drinking water to the community. And this is, that's a wonderful bonus to be able to purify water in fairly large quantities and give that to the community, so that people don't come down with dysentery and cholera and the other after effects of a disaster.
I'm just curious. This kind of equipment that we're using for emergency techniques, is it so expensive that it couldn't be also available here when we have challenges and shortages?
Well, it is. That's why we're lucky the team is stationed here on Maui. This team, of course, is tasked not only with Maui, but with the rest of Hawaii, with all of the entire Pacific Basin, even the West Coast. Our team's gone to the East Coast, and it's gone out of the country on deployments. We're just really fortunate that it's here, ready to go on Maui at a minute's notice. And some of it is expensive, specialized gear like the water purification and a few other things, but a lot of it is just pure ingenuity. I've been watching some of the stuff that Gerard's been building. He's a designer and builder of machines and all kinds of devices, and he's been creating stuff in his home workshop for out of love for the team. That's probably some of the nicest and most strict stuff we've got in our whole inventory.
For instance, when we got deployed to the LA Quakes, we were deployed in a boil zone, which meant you couldn't drink the water out of the tap. So that's one situation where the water purifier came in really handy. Yeah. And we distributed water to the public. Also, Hurricane and Nikki in Kauai, we also did a similar operation.
Is this paid work? With all the time you spend, I imagine.
Well, everything that we do here on island, we don't get paid for. It's all volunteer. However, when we do get deployed by the government, we do get a salary.
Good. I mean, for the time, effort, and energy you're putting in and how much help you give, I just wanted to be sure we're conscious of that component.
Basis, it's,
wow.
Money definitely is not the motivator.
Do you find that you have more people than you need, or can you use more people?
We could always use more people.
And how would people contact you if they want to find out about this?
They just look in the phone book under federal government and look for DMAT HI1. We have a main office in Wailuku on Main Street. And you call them up and you can sign up for any part of the team that you can work on.
I'm wondering if there's anything else we want to ask. Anything else that you think is important for the public to know?
Well, they're very fortunate, like Jonathan was saying, that we are stationed on Maui. If anything happens on Oahu, our team isn't big enough to handle the situation. We would wait for reinforcement teams from the mainland, but if anything happens, Maui, Hawaii, or Kauai will probably be the first team to respond.
Well, I know we should all feel very fortunate. Thank you for an incredible amount of work and time, and like you say, it's not for the money, it's for the love and the help that you're doing.
It's a good feeling to know that you play a big part. We recently got deployed to a air disaster crash in Guam, and that was a pretty tough one there, but we were fortunate enough to go there and help out.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Jonathan, pleasure.
Thank you. I just want to add, too, that there are a lot of diverse parts of the team. It's Of course, the medical people like Dr. John Mills are the heart of it, but logistics is equally important. They need to be supplied to do their job, and we have psych support, which is also essential both for keeping the team members on an even keel as well as helping the general public. Like, they were very important in the Los Angeles earthquakes. The psych support team probably saw the most action of the team over there, where people were just afraid to go home, afraid to sleep, and they were able to help out. There's a chaplain unit, and usually we go with chaplains, and they become important in a mass casualty. The DMAT, the morticians have, I think they've been deployed as much as the medical side over the past several years, and it's unfortunate because, of course, they're a last resource, but it's incredibly essential that that casualties be taken care of properly and with respect and identified and handled properly, not only for health and safety reasons, but it's just, you know, ask the families of any of the victims, and they want to see it. They want to see things done properly, and that's the only way our people know how to do it. At our last drill in Hana, I got to see a demonstration of how they work. So one of our visitors from, I think he was from Arizona, is part of the mortuary team. He made the mistake. Yeah, he made the mistake of falling asleep on one of the stainless steel rolling mortuary tables in the tent. So the rest of us kind of silently filled it in the tent, and one of the morticians gave us a walkthrough of what they actually do to embalm people on this poor fellow who had fallen asleep after being on an airliner for 16 hours and didn't wake up and wasn't any wiser about it. They even put a toe tag on him, but it's a very important part of the process, and something that we're here to do if it's necessary.
Aren't we lucky to have gentlemen like these? The men and women that are part of this DMAT crew serve all of us in Maui, and we want to give them a warm thank you. Mahalo, gentlemen. Hi, we have the great pleasure to be here with, what's your position? I know you're Charlie Mitchell. You run this place.
I run the emergency room, and I'm the commander and the director of our disaster team.
Well, we've had a grand tour here today, and we've been all around. I must tell you, I am very impressed with the operations, and it's very comforting to know there are people like yourself and your crew that are there for us. What's been your experience with this? Have you found that we have an adequate capability to take care of most things that we're seeing around in the area?
Yeah, I do. I think we're one of the lead teams in the United States right now. We're a level 1 disaster team. We can respond to any disaster. What we're going to be addressing in the future, which I think is very important, is weapons of mass destruction and counterterrorism issues. But right now we're doing very well.
Well, it really, your group here has been very helpful for us to be going around and seeing things. I really, you know, I'm a bit at a loss in knowing what to ask. I have been shown that this place is really fully equipped for most anything that can happen.
Well, what we are is we're a mobile mass unit. We can go anywhere in the world within 12 hours notice. We use the Department of Defense for transportation. We can set up in the field. We're totally self-sufficient, and we can provide a medical contingency for a disaster. That's what we do. The team has been in existence now for about 12 years. It started after the Aloha 243 incident. John Sakamoto, the airport administrator, and myself originally got together with my partner Charlie Diegas, and we started addressing the problem of what would we do if we had a airplane incident at the airport here. And slowly but surely things expanded to the point now where we have a 150-person disaster team, and we've been to several disasters all over the United States and in the protectorates in the territories of the United States, and we're continuing to grow, and we get a lot of support, especially from Senator Inouye's office. We get support from the state of Hawaii and from the county. So we're very grateful, and we're very happy to be able to provide this service.
Well, I imagine your performance is not only appreciated, but now you're going to get known on the street. People can come up and say thank you, I hope.
Well, that'd be appreciated. But I hope you can stick around and sort of see what we're setting up our camp and our supplies, and we're going to have a real fun afternoon here. So you guys are all welcome to stay here, and I'll be happy to explain whatever you'd like.
Thank you.
Quite welcome.
We just wanted to tell you, we do like your rations, but we were thinking we should go to Kachina Pacifica rather than those MREs.
You don't like them.
I think I have to work up to the appetite.
I can understand.
Thank you very much again.
You're welcome.
A pleasure.
Nice talking to you.
Aloha.
Been working on building up our logistics kit, including the Stealth DJ-1, which we cannot reveal to the public. We would have to kill them if they saw that. So unless they join the team, they're never going to know the contents of the Stealth DJ-1. But he can tell us. He can tell us about some of the other aspects of the team and some of the other training that he's been involved with and looking forward to. So talk to us, Ron.
Well, what we're really looking forward to is Loadmaster training. And there are different aircrafts that require different methods of loading. And when the call comes in, we want to be able to get out of this bunker, into a truck, and onto a plane in a matter of hours. So it's real important that you know exactly where everything goes, such as the fuel is the last thing to go on the plane, because that way if there's a leaks, they can throw it right out the parachute door. That's about it.
What does Stealth DJ-1 mean that we're not supposed to see?
If you look there, it says DFMSU. That's Doctors Field Morale Supply Unit. And for those of you who remember the MASH series, that gives you kind of an idea what's in there.
Go and be compassionate. Go and do the work that you have been charged to do, and go with God's blessing. But if we are to expect His blessings upon us as an outfit, as a ministry, as a group of people of caring concern, then we need to love Him with our hearts. And so as I pray this prayer of blessing upon DMAT, I want you to know I'm not going to pray for this building. And this is wonderful. Boy, this is so much better than I ever dreamed was possible, you know. And I remember how it looked like the first time we opened this place and began doing all the work here. And this is great, but I'm not going to pray God's blessings upon the facilities or the equipment that is so great out there. I want to pray God's blessings upon the people, because you guys are the ones that make DMAT. It is not the equipment, it is not the facilities, it is you and your caring heart. And that's where God wants to place His blessings. So let me ask you, if you would reach out and just take someone's hand beside you, and let's have a time of blessing and prayer. Let's pray together.
Here. Also, on November 20th, about 10 DMAT members, along with 11 people from the Hawaii Job Corps Center. Bob Upton from the Job Corps Center brought people over here, along with Bill Higa, to help bring this place together. We would like to thank Consador and Miyake Concrete, who donated materials to help renovate this bunker. And I'd like to give some special thanks and recognition to Dr. John Mills. John has been my partner here for 23 years in the emergency room and has been here from day one with the disaster team. And I couldn't have done it without John. I'd like to give some special recognition, and Charlie, if you could come forward and help me with this. Gerard and Ron Lake, you can start forward. Thank you. These are the two people that really, literally made it all work. And their enthusiasm and their dedication to this never ceases to amaze me. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you've done. And I think now what I'd like to do is
You guys have something you want
let you both
to
make a few comments and take over, and after that we'll adjourn to the entertainment side. So, for everyone, I want to put you on the spot here. Well, it's like we're all a family. So.
You guys can come in, all of you who are outside, move on in and listen up on what they've got to say.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody that helped as well. The latter part of this whole project couldn't have been possible without the help of Mr. Lays here. And thank you. Appreciate it. And hope we keep up the good work.
We've got a good support team, too. Charlie, Kat, and Charlie. Anything we wanted, we were able to do it.
Yep, we all worked as a team. You know, everybody here was involved.
There's two people. Charlie Viegas has also been my partner now 25 years. Kat, can you come forward too? Kat is our administrative officer, and they deserve special recognition. Kat knows longer as well as we do. So again, I want to thank you all for coming here. It's very nice of all of you, and we're very proud of what's happened here. And now I'd like to adjourn. And what?
One more thing.
Oh, we have one more thing?
These
Okay.
guys got to talk.
Our logistics team, we've been spending a lot of time making pallets and things to go for the field. But we want you to know that we haven't forgotten people. Well, this is the Stealth DJ-1, also known as the Doctor's Field Morale Supply Unit. Dr. Mitchell? Dr. Mills? Okay, we're working on the nurses one day.
Thanks. We're going to open it up now. Is that the story? I'm not going to get big deals.
They don't need the paramedics, I hope.
Oh!
Explain it. That is so cute.
Oh, look at that.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's
Well, this is more like it. I mean, well, you know, when we watched MASH back in the old days, I mean, this was sort of part of the fun of it too, right? It's work hard, play hard, and so what do you say? Let's eat hearty and have a few drinks and enjoy ourselves. And listen, I'd like to say thanks again to Ron and Gerard. They're basically the heart and soul of the bunker here and the operations right now. And Paul, thank you very much for those good words of encouragement. That's very true. Hope we can live up to those expectations.
All right.
Thank you for inviting us out here. We're happy to be here, but if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here to show the people of Maui. We appreciate it very much.
Well, we're lucky to have this here, and I feel lucky to be a part of it and to get to learn and work with some incredibly professional and intelligent people. It's also a lot of fun group to work with.
Yeah, a pleasure.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome. Aloha.
Aloha.
No matter where you go, no matter what you do, take that Maui style with you. 'Cause if you po style, kahana pali style.